Okay, here we are. Wow. Probably should have put lotion on my legs. Did not think this through. Benny, do you want to get down? Come on. Got a boy. But welcome to the first episode of Coaster Chat. The name of this segment may change because it's not going to be specifically and exclusively about coasters. This whole series that I'm planning on doing is going to mostly be about the amusement industry in general, but Coaster Chat just sounded catchy, and I haven't thought of a better name yet, so that's what we're sticking with for now. What I want to do here is break down my videos into a few different series, so to speak, because my content is becoming really varied right now, and I want to make things easier for viewers who just want to watch one specific vein of my content rather than the whole variety that I'm currently presenting to you guys. I'm fully aware that it's scattered. One of these days I will sort of streamline it a little bit, but for now I'm just kind of posting about whatever interests me, and that is a range of things. So please let me know in the comments what you think of this idea about breaking down different series and different categories for my content, and if you have any suggestions or feedback, share down below. With that said, I want to use this first episode to share the story, or my story, of how I became what people would call a roller coaster enthusiast. So let's wind the clocks back to the early 90s and start at the very beginning. Growing up, I was lucky enough to take many family vacations. Florida was always a favorite destination for my family and I, and we did many trips to the parks in Florida, from Walt Disney World and Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, to Busch Gardens, and even SeaWorld. I was thrown into the park hopping life at an early age, and I quickly started to really love all theme parks, and not even just theme parks, but amusement attractions in general. Tourist attractions became like my favorite thing. And you know, there's something different to like about every attraction. I love Disney parks for their immersive theming. Truly, especially as a kid going there, you feel like you're entering an entirely different world when you step into a Disney park, whether it's Florida or California. You know, I loved Universal for their like different, innovative, you know, more technology-based rides. I can still distinctly remember my first ride on Back to the Future, or Twister the Ride, any of those. And yeah, it definitely was just like a very different experience from anything that I'd done before. And then of course you have places like SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, that just gave you like a ride experience where you got to like go on world-class roller coasters, and so I got to taste a little bit of everything and really grew to love different parts of the industry. So I grew this desire to ride every possible roller coaster I could ever come across and to visit all sorts of different wild and crazy theme parks and tourist attractions wherever my adventures took me in the world. So roadside attractions, all of that kind of stuff, I just really enjoy participating in and getting to see, and yeah, because those things don't stick around forever, and they're kind of like fun little memory bank experiences to hold on to. So from there, when I was about 11 or 12, we moved to Canada, and that gave me a whole different experience because I'm recording this video from the Cayman Islands, and that's where I grew up, so we would often fly to Florida or other destinations to go on these vacations. But once we moved to Canada, yeah, we still did a few like road trips down to Florida and whatnot after that, but it was a totally different experience to be 20 minutes from the nearest theme park, and that definitely, if I wasn't already hooked, that got me hooked. So once the spring came around, I had my first opportunity to visit Canada's Wonderland in many years, and as I'm sure most of you know, it is a very different experience going to a park as a little kid versus you know, a preteen or teenager getting to go on all of the bigger rides for the first time. So that was, I think, probably the year when I like first really became a coaster enthusiast and realized that I wanted to go to parks and just ride these things over and over and over again. We had definitely taken many trips when I was younger, but you don't really appreciate it until you're, well, old enough to appreciate it. But with that said, I was definitely still young enough that, like, I was just too young to care that most coaster enthusiasts thought Canada's Wonderland's ride lineup was sort of sad. And looking at many other rides and theme parks, if you were to compare it to a lot of other places in the US and Europe and Asia, it really was sad in comparison, but I didn't know that. I was just excited to get to be able to go to a park within 20 minutes that had so many rides and attractions. So that was pretty cool. Around this time, if not exactly at this time, my mom was working as a manager at Canada's Wonderland, so I was lucky enough to have the ability to go to the parks as family of park management, which means I got a little family pass, I don't think I have a picture of mine, but I might have a picture of like my brothers or something. But essentially you got a family pass and you got to go in through the employee entrance and you got access to the employee parts of the park. Mainly just the one where, you know, you need to enter and walk into the park, but because sometimes I would go around with my mom, I got the ability to get to see a lot of these behind the scenes areas at Canada's Wonderland that as a guest, you don't really know what happens back there. That whole experience definitely made me feel a little VIP, and more so than that, it really fed my curiosity. So it was, I believe, the summer of 2005 when I decided I want to try out and see what it's like to work at a theme park. Get that full behind the scenes experience. So I think I was maybe like 15 or 14. I was definitely too young to get a real job. So what I did was I auditioned as a dancer. And I don't know what the rules are. I might have still been breaking park rules a little bit. But I auditioned and I got in as a dancer for the Nickelodeon Celebration Parade, which was something that the parks did for I think only one season, maybe two, back during the Paramount days when they were partnered up with Nickelodeon. And yeah, I got to dance every day in this crazy parade in the park, and I got to have that full experience of like actually being an employee there myself, and that was my first like real job. So yeah, I was hooked on the industry, you could say that. That whole summer was so much fun. I would come to the park early, I would ride rides, every single day I would ride rides, I would get my lunch, get ready for the parade, clean the floats, because you had the opportunity to work a few extra hours and clean the floats every day if you wanted to, and I was already there because my mom was working there, so I would just come with her in the mornings, hang out there all day, do my little shift in the middle of the day, keep riding rides, and then go home at the end of the day. And it was so much fun. I got to kind of snoop around all different parts of the park and learn about all different aspects of the theme park, from my mom's experience as a manager to my experience in the entertainment department, getting to talk to and meet ride ops and different employees from all different parts of the park. So that was definitely like the summer that cultivated my curiosity for how the whole behind the scenes part of this industry works, how many different departments and different people go into making your day as a guest happen at a theme park. So I think it was that same summer, 2005 or 2006, the same summer when I worked at the park for the first time, was when I also joined the online communities for theme park enthusiasts. And I don't want to say a bad experience online with those communities, but I found they could be definitely very harsh, very judgy, and even condescending. I won't name any names, and I'm not part of some of these communities these days because luckily the internet has grown a lot in recent years, and there's so many different ways to be involved as a theme park enthusiast and as a roller coaster enthusiast without being part of communities that are run by, you know, people that are just plain mean, kind of bullies. Back in the early days of the interwebs, if you were the first to be out there, obviously you had the big audience, and I will credit these websites for giving a platform where I got to have access to so much knowledge, so many people's first-hand experiences, photos, videos, and some of these websites even offered meetups and trips, and I did participate in some of those things. So I'm not saying that it was all bad things, but there's a reason I'm not part of, I'm not a big part of a lot of online enthusiast communities, because I just found that when I first joined I was quite young and I was eager to learn, and because you're kind of green, instead of being educated and welcomed into the community, you were kind of like shamed and ridiculed and made to feel like you should just shut up and fade into the background. So, and a lot of them from what I hear are still like that. So I'm choosy with whom I spend my time, and I did not want to spend time in communities like that, so I'm no longer part of them. But if any of you are part of those communities and enjoying it, more power to you. I'm sure a lot of things have changed since I was in the early days and gave up on them. But yes, I will credit them for, to this day, posting a lot of information and experiences, videos, things like that, and hosting events that I do like having that access to. So would I consider myself a roller coaster enthusiast? Maybe not, because I'm not just interested in the roller coasters themselves. Though don't get me wrong, I've spent endless hours researching how lift hills work and how brakes work and different types of trains and all of the different manufacturers and those things. I'm just naturally curious, and because I have a love for the industry and love for the rides, I want to know all about them. So love to talk to you guys about all that kind of stuff. But I also have a huge interest in the industry itself, the business behind it, how that whole side of things work. And that's why eventually I went to college for tourism and travel. Because after taking an art program and not really being sure what kind of art career I was going to have, I realized that I had an interest in business, but specifically in this industry. And, you know, like I said, those roadside attractions, those theme parks, those things that draw in tourists and visitors for unique guest experiences. I just wanted to know all about that and be a part of that. So I went to school for tourism and travel. I got to work for the government in the Department of Tourism and had a lot of fun just soaking up all sorts of information about the industry and about the business behind it. And that's where my true passion lies, and what I want to share with you guys is, yes, I'm going to share a lot about parks, a lot about rides, I'm going to share my opinions on announcements and things like that. And as you guys probably already know, I'm partnering a lot with Amusement Insiders. But on my own channel, I also hope to talk about a lot of the industry stuff going on and share my opinions and my education and, you know, put that a little bit to use on my channel too. So if you want to be a part of those conversations, and, you know, there will be some story times, there will be trip reports anytime I do go somewhere, which hopefully will start soon. Keep your fingers crossed for me, people. Likely after I get through the holiday season at work, because perhaps a different video I'll share my story time about how I ended up in retail and not tourism. But even that, you know, everything happens for a reason, and my retail career allowed me to travel a lot, especially last year, and I got to go to all sorts of theme parks that I may not have otherwise gotten to go to. And so I'm very excited to share my experiences and future experiences with all of you. Yeah, so we'll get into the whole career thing on another video, but I did go to school for this, and so I do want to talk about it and bring it back into my everyday life, because why not? So yes, if you have any topics that you'd like to see covered in the future, any questions for me, I will be doing more content that is amusement industry related and theme park related and flat ride related and all of the things. So leave your comments down below. I look forward to continuing Coaster Chat with you guys. Yeah, I know this one was kind of boring, but I just wanted to share why I'm interested in these kinds of things, what made me a coaster enthusiast, and why I feel that I have an opinion to hold on these kinds of things and information to share, is because that's just what I do. I've always been a researcher. I went to school to study this industry, and I want to continue to cultivate that knowledge and cultivate that insight that I have and share it with all of you. So thanks for watching, if you did, and see you soon. This video was awkward. Benny, leave the chickens. Look at this dog. Leave the damn chickens, Benny. This is Island life in a nutshell. It's my dog chasing chickens. Your mom can't film a video without you getting into trouble. Like if you want more Benny content. Right, Benny? Internet famous.